Listen Vision, Listen Vision, DC's #1 recording studio.
Walking a thin line, gotta defend mine. Walking a thin line, gotta defend mine.
I'm scared to do some freestyle flow. I'm too high and I might go off tempo. But now I'm back to let these niggas know just how deep my game run. Tupacalypse don't sleep. I keep a motherfucking Glock in my car. If I'm holding in the club, I gotta be the fucking star. So everybody wanna smile and raise their hands. I got a razor in case I gotta do it next, man. Cause you know how niggas be. They wanna see if Pac is real or is he like that nigga in the movie. I guess I gotta prove my point. Slicing motherfuckers, now I'm doing a joint. I got my nigga B.I. to the G beside me. Bitches on my dick, you know the hoes wanna rob me. And my other homies out here like Spike Lee. They got the camera on the nigga, guess they like me. But now I'm about to pass this motherfucker on, cause this Tangeray is getting hella strong. Homie on the underground, man. Okay, alright. Let me see how I'm gonna
Oh my goodness, here we are. Happy Friday, everybody. We are District Spotlight every single Friday at 5 p.m. I'm Jeremy Beaver, CEO and founder of Listen Vision, with my DJ, the one, the only...
B-Dub the Boy Wonder.
Yes, and today, oh my God, do you like drum machines? Do you like 808s? Do you like 909s? Do you like SP1200s and MPCs and all those things? Joe Mansfield, legend, producer, hip-hop extraordinaire. He has really probably got his own, Walk of Fame in Boston, I'm sure, because this guy is world-renowned with his drum machine collection, with the work he's done as an executive in the hip-hop, music industry, but also with the legendary albums that he produced for Ed O.G., who was just inducted the other month with us here on this show. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on today on the show. Now, if we can just get our sidebar up, we're going to go to Today in Hip Hop. Okay? Now, today in hip hop, a few very special things happened. Today, a couple days ago, Big Daddy Kane. Happy birthday to Big Daddy Kane on the 10th of September. Big Daddy Kane, right here on our set here, turned 50. Happy birthday to Big Daddy Kane. Happy birthday to Nas. Nas, do we have a picture of Nas? Via Amy Cinnamon, the incredible artist down there in Florida, and featured in Chuck D's book. Happy birthday to Nas, who turns 46. And happy birthday to Ludacris on the 11th of September. That's some art by Askham, also a incredible artist out of the UK who's featured in Chuck D's book. Happy birthday, Ludacris. And finally, happy birthday to Swizz Beatz on the 13th. You turned 40, and happy birthday to you. That first video that we started out with, that Tupac video, was a remix that we did here. It was a beat from our beat bar, and that was commemorating yesterday, 22 years ago, Tupac was killed. R.I.P. Tupac. B-Dub, how are you, sir, today? I didn't mean to ignore you.
I am great, sir. No problem. I'm over here working.
I know. We just have so much show to get to. I just wanted to dive right in. But I love your hat. Where'd you get that hat, man?
This hat is brought to you by True Heads Clothing. That's True Heads with a Z, trueheadsclothing.com. So shout out to Neil Taylor, our sponsors for this show. If you need yours, come past the studio and see us, or go to trueheadsclothing.com.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the area, come by. But really, if you're anywhere in the world, really go to trueheads.clothing.com. He's got these really dope custom hats like these, and also the Kangols, which we love. It's perfect. All right, so let's get right into hip-hop today. Today in hip-hop, sorry, I'm dyslexic. Some sad news we have to start out with, and that's Jimmy Spicer, the world-renowned MC, one of the first MCs to be pressed on vinyl, is suffering from lung cancer, and he needs our help. Please go contribute to his GoFundMe, okay? Because he needs our help, and that's what we do for our brothers in hip-hop. Okay. In other news, just last night, J. Period performed his incredible live mixtape at Sony Hall with Rakim, Pharaoh Monch, and Black Thought. The artwork there is by Dan Lish, incredible illustrator. But oh my God, I can't wait to hear this thing.
Yes.
I don't. He just goes.
And another
yes. And there's no words for that, right? Except yes. Okay. Do you remember Nine? Do you remember the rapper Nine?
Yeah,
Nine.
What you want, Nine? Yeah.
What you want, Nine?
Neo Posse.
Right. Nine is back. And he has a new album, Picture, released, produced by the Snow Goons, which I believe are out of Amsterdam. Incredible DJ production duo, Snow Goons. And they look at all that stuff you can get from Nine. Okay? And I'm sorry, I meant to mention it earlier, but speaking of Pharaoh Monch from the J Period thing,
Yep.
Take It Personal podcast. Jason Gloss and DJ 360 and the whole guys over there, Kevlar and the gang. Episode number 32 is an entire tribute to Pharaoh Monch. So, like 5.5 hours, straight hours. Go to SoundCloud. Do yourself a favor. Okay, make your life better. Make your commute better,
Yes.
I do. And go listen to Take It Personal podcast. Okay, we always spotlight hip hop art. Lawrence J is a guy I follow. Check out this artwork that he does. Look at these incredible illustrations, color illustrations. And I just looked at this and I did a double take. I realized that's not just Biggie. That's like Biggie Spike Lee. That's like Spike Lee Biggie, right? Isn't that cool? I noticed that, right? I think that's really neat.
Spike Big.
Okay. In other news, tonight at SOBs, all of the guys that we love, Artifacts, Ed OG, Sadat X, Grand Poobah, Mr. Cheeks, Royal Flush, and many, many more. Positive K, many, many more. All tonight. If you're in New York, go to SOBs because look at that. That's that's crazy. That's got to be historic. Okay, and then later this month, you and I and WLVS Radio are the official media sponsors at Dirty Martini for Black Sheep and Brand Nubian. And today, on the show, at the end of the show, that was a good bomb. No, that was good. It was bomb-worthy.
Very bomb-worthy.
Today, at the end of the show, we're unboxing Sadat X's own personalized Brand Nubian leather jacket that he has donated to the studio. We are also unboxing Ed OG's autographed lyrics. Okay, we are also unboxing Search's, I believe, autographed vinyl. We have an incredible unboxing. Stay tuned. If you could only see on the camera, it looks like a pile. It's like a U.S. Postal Service nightmare over here. Okay? So stay tuned for that. Okay? And then at the end of this show, no, I'm sorry, I'm missing a piece of news. Shout out Spotlight Over the City and Stan Long, who just yesterday got a dope interview with the man, Jay Prince, legend OG mogul. Don't piss off Jay Prince. Make Jay Prince happy.
Not at all.
Okay. And we are going to be cutting and airing this interview and doing pizza and refreshments on the 27th of September. So come out here to WLVS.
I was going to say today, but all right. It's cool.
No, you should be so lucky. We should be so lucky. The 27th, and we're going to debut that interview with Spotlight Over the City and Jay Prince. Okay? Lastly, before we cut to this video of Howard Homecoming, okay, I want to tell you that after this show at 6 o'clock, we are debuting Know Your Hip Hop.
Dope.
Okay, episode number 2 with Crank Lucas's crazy game show that we produce here at Listen Vision, debuting at 6 p.m. tonight. Stay tuned.
I hope you guys know your hip hop.
I hope you. Well, these guys do on this episode. They do.
Okay.
Last episode they did not. All right, so here we go. Check out this video of what it looks like if you want to perform for Howard Homecoming or Day of the DJ. This is our epic concerts and performances here at the studio and we're at the entrance to Howard University. So call us, 202-332-8494. Once again, that's 202-332-8494. If you want to perform for Howard Homecoming, there are only 2 slots left. And if you want to perform for Day of the DJ...
Oh, they went quick.
Oh, they go. Every year they go quick. Every year they go quick. Okay. So here we go. Check out this video of what it looks like if you do want to perform at Howard Homecoming at Listen Vision. Check it out.
Listen. Vision. Listen. Vision. Listen. Vision. Listen, vision. Vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
All right, let's get some volume in the studio here. We are back. I am Jeremy Beaver, CEO and founder of Listen Vision, with my DJ, the one, the only...
B-Dub the Boy Wonder.
My God, your drops are thunderous, bro.
Gotta hear him.
On the line, right now, we have a guy that I've looked up to since the early 90s. He changed my life because of some of the music he made. His name is Joe Mansfield. Hey, Joe, it's Jeremy Beaver.
I'm here, yeah.
There we go. Can you turn him up a little bit more? There's always something. Internet radio land, there's always something. Let's turn the music down just a little. Joe Mansfield is a legend in the hip-hop industry, from the production side and from the music industry, executive side. Joe, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Oh, I'm great. DZ, make sure his levels are nice and high. Make sure on the stream it's coming through real good. Joe, we are so lucky to be talking with you today. And before we, get into the heavy stuff, okay, I don't think there's any part of this interview that's going to be heavy. Okay, but before we get into anything serious, tell us what made you fall in love with hip hop? What was the first, if you can recall, experience in your life where you remember listening to hip hop and going, "Oh man, that's it. I love it. I want to do that."
I mean, I definitely, as a young kid, I remember hearing like Sugar.
What happened?
For any kid, but I remember hearing it. Hearing Rapper's Delight and wondering what it was, and I remember all the kids in the neighborhood arguing that it was disco and it was terrible and what have you. But
well, it's interesting that you bring up Rapper's Delight because just the other month we actually had the great pleasure of inducting the founding member of Master G. Into the museum here, and he told us some incredible stories. Obviously, we all know the kind of legal, haphazards that they went through there. But then he just recently came out of all of that, and
really,
Joe, I have the great pleasure of telling you we've reunited the group now. R.I.P. Hank, but we've replaced Hank with, of all people, Grandmaster Kaz.
Nice.
Which, as you know about the little controversy with their rhymes there.
Yeah.
So tell us about, where was it, and where was it, and when was it, and why was it that you, were starting to listen to this, and how did you get a hold of it when you first started listening to hip hop?
Yes, when I first started listening to it, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know it was hip hop. It was on the radio. I was like probably 9 or 10 years old, but I remember that it was different than everything else, and I was really drawn to it. But after that, there wasn't the stations that I could get. You wouldn't hear a lot of hip hop, So I remember probably that really what hooked me was probably like later on when I was probably a little older. Would be like Run DMC, like Sucker MC that was it. When I heard that, that I was hooked. It was. I didn't know everything there was to know about hip hop. Living where I lived, you'd have to go out of your way to figure, find out what's what. And I did that, and I was hooked from the sounds,
what drum
the
machine?
production style. What was that?
Sucker MC.
Exactly. It's a DMX kind of altered a little bit. The kick and snare are not the stock DMX sounds, but it's pretty much Oberheim DMX. And yeah, even back then when I was a kid, I was like, what is that? And I wanted to know what that was. And I think that got me into wanting to produce too, hearing stuff like that, or even Soul Sonic Force, Planet Rock, that was a big influence on me too. And the 808.
And what was it like in Boston? What was the hip hop scene like in the late '80s or early '90s before you started producing, like as a kid?
Well, but by the time the late '80s came around, it was happening as much as every city in the country. It's already huge by then. The early '80s are when it was like, for someone like me, it was tough to like, figure out what the happening records were back then. It was harder. But by the mid '80s to late '80s, early '90s, I mean, just like any city probably in America, hip hop was pretty huge. I mean, there was a lot of local groups. Like Ed O.G. was in a bunch of groups. You had like RSO. I mean, it was a pretty vibrant scene.
Was Ed O.G. the first artist that you ever produced?
No, well, what do you mean by produce? Do you mean like recording songs in my basement?
You ever made a beat for?
It was, who was it? I don't know. There was, just like friends and stuff that wanted to try rapping. I would make beats and probably try putting them on it, but nobody that ever amounted to anything. The first like group that I started working with that was kind of had their stuff together was a group called TNB, Terrors of a New Breed, and like that was probably in like 88 and 87, 88, and those they like could rap. Anybody before that I produced really wasn't much of an MC, and
but those very first beats that you produced for your friends before the real guys, what equipment were you using at that time?
So like I had an 808 which I bought, and like I purchased like 84, 85. I purchased an 808, so I was kind of probably using that a little bit, and I mean I had an old sampler, an Akai S612, which basically could sample like about maybe a snare drum. That's about it. And so I would use that
snare drum.
It had about a second worth of sample time. Yeah.
On how many pads? Like each one had a second, or the whole thing had a second?
The whole thing. You could sample like one sound with it, and you would trigger it. You would have to trigger it from either a button on it or a keyboard or something. But yeah, it was not useful, but it was really cheap because it was obsolete. So basically, the early equipment I had was just stuff that was obsolete and inexpensive, So. But
how did you even find out about that stuff?
Yeah, like what I would do is like, so I knew I loved the 808, right? From the first time I heard Planet Rock, I just like that. I was like, what is that? I was kind of dabbling in wanting to be a DJ or whatever as like a young teenager, but hearing that, I was like, what is that? And then the way I would find out is like, just from collecting records, like some records used to list the instruments on the back, or you would read like, musician type magazines, and like they would talk about it in there. I remember them ever talking about like Planet Rock, but knowing the sound and hearing it in other records, like, Sexual Healing and Marvin Gaye, just knowing what it was, and listening to other records and hearing it, I would pick it up in like, musician magazines or production magazines, or equipment magazines, and they would talk about records that were produced with it, and just that's how I would do it.
Do we know what the first song, serious release to contain a drum machine is? Do we have any? Do we know this?
That used a drum machine or 808.
Well, yeah, no, I guess it's an interesting question, like how far back can we trace it in modern music, maybe is what I'm asking.
Trace it back to the early 60s. I mean, like Sly Stone used drum machines on his stuff, and there's stuff that predates that. I mean, like, The,
Well, I
the
noticed
earliest
you
drum
told the
machines that
Boston-
probably came out in like 59, 60, and
Wow.
they didn't make it on records a lot. So, but like someone like Sly Stone, like Family Affair, that was like that influenced me a lot too. Like the drum machines on that, and I wanted to know what that was, and so, but yeah, they weren't like really big before the mid 70s and late 70s. You would start hearing them a little bit, and then the 80s it was it's all drum machines.
So, Joe, because of your immense knowledge of drum machines, and because of all the DMs that I got about this show, when we announced that you were going to be on it, I got hit with about 10 DMs from a million different collectors and drum machine enthusiasts, and a lot of DJs who really are impressed with your collection and your knowledge. And so, just because you're talking about these early drum machines from 59 and whatnot, we pulled a video of a drum machine that you were talking about in an interview with the Boston Globe, the Maestro Rhythm King.
Yeah.
So hold tight, Joe, for about... it's a really simplistic video. I mean, a simplistic machine, okay?
Yeah.
But, Joe, for our viewers, we want to kind of illustrate your points with what, like, a very early kind of drum machine, looks and sounds like. So hold tight with us for literally 60 seconds.
Sure.
Check this out, viewers. This is a Maestro Rhythm King machine. Wow.
Yeah, the Rhythm King. So
the Rhythm King. So
that was that was used on Sly Stone's Riot Going On album, pretty much throughout the whole album. So like you'll hear that machine on that album, and that's
But
that
could
was
you
like,
even change the pattern at all, or only just the
no.
tempo?
Well, you can tap it. You can tap out a pattern in real time, but you can't save it. So you'd have to record it, to tape. So it has drum pads on it, but it doesn't have a sequencer to record to. So you could put a preset rhythm, play it, and you could play along with it and add to it and augment it. But yeah, it wasn't able to save whatever you created.
But wait a second, it has drum pads on it?
It does, yeah. It has little drum pads on the front of it, and you can tap them.
That's fascinating.
It's cool. And that came out, like in late '60s, early '70s, and you could tap out a rhythm with it. You have to record it directly to tape,
right?
But you could do it.
Yeah, well, not with that 1 second sampler, but
cool.
Clearly some other sampler.
No, just back then you would record it, if you used it, you'd record it to like a multi-track or a 2-track or whatever, and just or play along with one of the rhythms. I mean, a lot of these early drum machines were meant for to help you in maybe songwriting, where you just wanted a rhythm while you were writing a song, and you play along with it. Or sometimes they were, a lot of the organ-based machines were used by lounge acts and stuff. But that's what they were originally, meant for. And then, people got creative and started, using them in different ways.
Well, speaking of getting creative and using them in different ways, thank you for that perfect segue, by the way. How did you meet Ed OG.
Ed OG. So I met Ed. I was DJing at a club out here, and one of his friends happened to be at the club, and we started talking. And I guess I told him how Ed put out. His original name was Edo Rock, and he was on a record called Boston Goes Deaf. I think that came out in like '86, maybe. So it came out. Yeah, he was like a kid. He was really young on that thing. Mm-hmm. But he actually had a record out before I started working on it. It was just around Boston though, and it didn't make it much outside of this area. But yeah, he was rapping. And when I started working with him, I knew he was like legit. He definitely, inspired me on my end to step it up because he was that much. I heard him and I was thinking, yeah, he could be doing hit records.
Well, you created those hit records, so how did you decide to, or what exact production equipment? I'm sure all the hip hop nerds in Nerdland either know or would love to know. What exact equipment did you produce Ed O.G's first two albums on?
So like the first album, so basically I'm just like starting out, and I at this time never made any money producing or anything else, so it was all like secondhand equipment I bought. But I bought an Emax, which is a sampler, and it's basically if you think of an SP1200, it sounds exactly like an SP1200, but it's it's a sampler without drum pads on it. It's a keyboard sampler, and it sounds just as gritty and rough as an SP1200. So I used that, and I had a sequencer called, it was an Akai ASQ10. So this was just a sequencer, and it was made by Roger Lynn, and it was basically an MPC 60 without the drum pads. So I would use that with the Emax, and I would use my 808. I would sample my 808 into the Emax and use the kick and maybe extend the resonance on it and make that big kick sound in the hi-hat from the 808. And I used another drum machine on there, and it was new at the time. It was the Roland R8, which I used on Ed's album. I used the tambourine from that a lot, which was a pretty cool tambourine.
I'm sorry, the tambourines to many people, including myself, were really iconic in that album, and I always kind of wondered to myself, were those samples or were those from a drum machine? Could you say again?
The Roland R8.
It was the Roland R8.
Yeah,
wow.
So that was a tambourine I used in I Gotta Have It and in Father to Your Child.
Oh man, I don't know why that's so. To me, that's kind of defines your sound. Was I don't know if that was purposeful or accidental. I know that was kind of like a little bit a popular sound of the day. But in Boston, I could only imagine people must have literally rolled out the red carpet for Ed and you guys when you came out with this album. What was the response locally to when it came out?
Yeah, it was the response was it was great, and it was always on the radio, which was great to hear your record on the radio. And I don't know, Ed was like a celebrity out here, still is.
Yeah, and you guys really had like numerous singles, and I only say this because, trust me, for a guy like myself from, a Jew from Brooklyn, New York, for me to have this much love and admiration for anyone from Boston should mean just so much. But, songs like I Got to Have It, songs like Bugaboo, all of these songs were really kind of like iconic in the early 90s. There were some other interesting things happening in Boston in the early 90s. Did you ever meet Dave Mays of Source Magazine fame?
Yeah, they used to have the show up there at Harvard. I don't remember what my group TNB. We went up to the show and played our record. I guess this probably would have been in like '89. But I mean, I'm sure Ed has more encounters than me. But that was I remember back in like it was '88, '89. We went up to their show and brought our record. But yeah, they were always like supporting local stuff too. So.
Yeah, cool. Dave actually lives in this area and is a friend of mine, and he's working with us on the Hip Hop Museum. And some of his stories from the early days of the Boston hip hop scene are really kind of interesting. And what you guys did really had a lot of just tremendous and lasting impact on the hip hop industry and sound. If you could actually, and I don't mean to just get so into drum machines, because we'll obviously ask you about other things, but trust me when I say our viewers sent in like 20 different questions about drum machines. But if you did have to pick, and DZ, you can run through his pictures again of his drum machines, but if you could pick just one drum machine that you thought was most special to you and most prized to you, you're on a desert island and you can only bring one drum machine with you, what drum machine would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a tough choice, but I mean, it's gonna be between a 808 and a DMX, and I guess the 808's gonna win out just because that was the first one I ever had, and I don't, you got the iconic bass drum in there, which probably broke 100 million woofers, but I'd have to pick the 808, I guess.
Have to pick the 808. There is little to no shock there.
But I mean, it's just such a difference between something like an 808, which is like completely like synthesizer drum. It's just synthesized drums. When you move into like the DMX and the Lin stuff, you actually have like sampled sounds in them. Yeah. So like the production style is so much different from each one of the sounds you can get. So it's a hard choice, but I mean, I guess if you told me I had like I was on a desert island and I had a turntable and an amplifier with me, then I'd probably maybe pick the DMX or a Lin, because then I could I could make my own sound and record them on an EEPROM chip and plug them into the machine. And
Joe, I like how you've already started putting together like a little bit of a party on this desert island. Like his first thought was actually like, well, wait, hold on. There's other things I could actually bring with me. You're a creative guy. I guess that's, speaking of creativity, after, releasing and producing, these illustrious albums that, we're all familiar with, you then got kind of into, the music executive, the music industry, corporate, you're not a corporate guy. You really never have been. But for people like myself who know what you've done behind the scenes, tell us a little bit about, let's say, Land Speed and how you got started on the other side of the industry.
So Land Speed was like my partner back then in Vinyl Reanimators, Sean C. and I, we're putting out independent records. We put out we had our label Direct Records. We had like this El the Head Toucher record, and the year before that I put out like an NOG, like an EP, and so we were like putting out our own records and bringing them around to the, distributors and one-stops and whatnot. And the guy who runs Land Speed, I knew him from back in '91. He used to work in Cheapo Records in Boston. I used to go in there and buy records off him. So anyway, he started Land Speed. They were selling soul reissues, reggae stuff, and wasn't selling any hip hop. So Sean and I approached him about, bringing our label to him to distribute and expanding, his hip hop distribution. So we worked with him for a while, and then in 2002 we left and started our own company, Traffic Entertainment.
And for all the people that don't know, and one of the focuses of our show, actually, Joe, is not just the Hip Hop Museum, but actually to educate young kids. Here at our recording studio, we're kind of located inside of Listen Vision, which is DC's largest and oldest recording studio. And our spokesman is KRS-One. And when some of the young kids come in, we say, well, I stopped saying it, but I used to say, blah, 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 and our spokesman's KRS-One. And then more and more people would look like my DJ who just made this face like, KRS who?
Really?
And then that just made me sad. I don't even care about feeling old. It just made me sad because it's like you wouldn't want to be an NBA player and not, try out for the NBA, not who Dr. J is, right?
Criminal Minded, was one of the records that changed hip hop. So you pretty much, if you're into hip hop, you gotta know Criminal Minded. You gotta.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying this is because our program is part educational, and so when we ask you, about these releases, or we ask you about what let's say Traffic ENT does, it's because we want the kids to know how the industry works too. It's not just about saluting the OGs. It's also about, hey kids, this is your kind of little tip or little insider secret as to how you might be able to break into the industry, because our guest today, Joe Mansfield, has a company called Traffic ENT. And tell him, Joe, what you do.
We're, a distribution company. We also have a record reissue label, Get On Down, where we try to put out classic records that we think don't have enough shine and people should definitely know about. So between distribution and the record label, we cover all the bases.
Joe is incredibly modest and laid back, so I'm gonna have to hype you up a little here. Let me tell you guys, for all those out there in hip hop or music industry land, there's little to no labels or distributors or boutique shops that are doing what Get On Down and Traffic is doing. Specifically, paying tribute to the golden era hip-hop artists that have proved to have a longevity that few other artists have. And they put together, if you don't believe me or you don't understand what I'm talking about, please go to, getondown.com?
Yeah, getondown.com.
So go to getondown.com and check out some of these classic reissues. One of my favorite of your guys is the Cypress Hill Skull, because it's just so magnificent in its presentation. But tell them about some of the other releases that you guys have reissued, so that when they go, they could look for that stuff when they go there.
I mean, we did a Wu-Tang 7-inch box set that it's sold out, so people pick it up. But that was pretty cool. Old Dirty Bastard reissue, where we reissued the record in a wallet with an ID card, to mimic the original cover. We did Liquid Swords reissue. And we've done a lot of stuff. Run DMC. We did a Run DMC 7-inch box set, which was really cool. And check out the site. There's plenty of stuff.
Yeah, for our viewers at home, or specifically viewers that might be in the Washington, D.C. area, if you want to come to the Hip Hop Museum, which is the largest collection of hip-hop memorabilia in the world, we have on display, if you want to see how dope and incredible these pieces are, we have 90% of the Get On Down pieces here at the museum signed by the artists who they commemorate. Do you know what I mean? So, that's a really beautiful thing. And one of the coolest things, Joe, and everybody out there in our viewership land, Joe, you put together something called Beatbox Drum Machine Obsession.
I did, yeah. It was, I guess it's a vanity project for my love of drum machines, but, it also has, I think, some useful information for people who are either interested in the machines themselves or the music that they were used to create. But it was definitely something I've wanted to do for a while, and I was glad to be able to do it.
Well, let me tell you, Joe, it's a beautiful composition, and from one hip-hop nerd to another, the way you put it together is not only is the presentation incredible, but like it has we're going to show a whole video of you after this interview of a demo of the actual, box set. So stay tuned, everybody. We're going to show you all these crazy things that you get inside of it, which is like a book and vinyl. And what else do you get, Joe? What else is in there?
In the drum machine book?
Yeah.
Well, the Record Store Day one had like a cassette with it, and we did like a special version for Record Store Day that year. But it came with a cassette where I used a lot of the machines to make beats, and it came with the 7-inch too. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the one that we're talking about that we are really just excited about that we saw online is the big cool one that's like, I think it's even looks like a drum machine itself, and it contains a whole bunch of different stuff. Yeah,
it's like it's like a case that holds the book, and it comes with a 7-inch and a cassette. Yeah,
amazing.
And it looks like a drum machine on the front of it a little bit. Yeah.
Well, in this composition that you put together, which is just unbelievable and really in depth, you have Schoolie D narrating the book.
Well, he's basically, what we did was I did like a 909 like flexi disc thing where I recreated PSK and Gucci Time, which we're done with a 909, and we got like Schoolie D to like say some stuff on it. He didn't do the vocals, but just announce the drum sound, like say kick, snare, and Schoolie D's voice. But yeah, that was like such an influential record for me too. Was PSK and Gucci Time, and then hearing the 909 on that was also like something that really influenced me a lot, and was like one of my favorite records back in like 85, I guess, right? It's 85. Wow.
Yeah, so at the end of this interview, everybody, stay tuned, because we actually have, I think part of the video is even you banging out the original PSK beat on the 909.
Oh yeah. All right.
Which we just think is just hip-hop gold.
Well, that was actually like when I bought the 909, of course, I bought it used, and like I think I said earlier, it's like those classic machines at a point in time where people were giving them away. People didn't care about them anymore. So yeah, first thing I did, I bought the 909. I probably bought it in like, I don't know, 86, 87, and the first thing I did was I programmed PSK and Gucci Time into it.
Maybe you know what that makes sense now, though, because now I get you a little more. Is if that's the first thing you did was take right to emulating or reproducing some of the original classic hip hop beats, then now I get why his sound is so clean and really well thought through. That makes sense to me, because a different type of person would set out immediately making their own thing, but the fact that you went to recreate something classic, that to me shows a lot.
Well, because I would always listen to the records, and I was always like amazed, at the production, and wanted to, know how it worked and what they used. So just being able to have that machine and recreate it, it just, I don't know, it felt special, and connected me more to the records.
Yeah, when you know where they came from, which is why we have you on. Because you are, our insiders look into these records that, we also grew up on. So in the same way that you grew up on PSK and started replicating it, we grew up on your records. And speaking of, growing up on people's records, there's, young folks now who are still growing up on, Joe's, issues that he's putting out all these different records and projects and whatnot. What are you working on now these days?
We're always doing something. I mean, what we're working on, like, there's some elaborate stuff we're working on. It's a little too early to kind of say what it is, but we're all, we have, for Black Friday Record Store Day in November, we have some cool stuff coming out, but it's a little too early to announce it.
Okay. Okay. Is it going to be a get on down project?
Yeah, get on down.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of waiting to secure
stuff.
the licensing, I guess, first, right?
Well, we got the licensing, but they just haven't been formally announced yet by Record Store Day. So.
Okay. All right. So again, you guys go to getondown.com.
Yep.
As simple as you can get. Joe, I warned you. You know, we always do it here on the show with all you legends, all you OGs at the very end of the show, because we are the only hip-hop museum in the world, because we not only have this crazy collection, but because we're dedicated to, you know, maintaining and, educating about the history of hip-hop and its culture. We would like to ask you if there is anything special from your collection that you would like to donate to represent your career.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I mean, I was definitely thinking about maybe getting some of the old discs from Life of a Kid in the Ghetto album, and I think, you know, that would be kind of cool, and maybe a cool vintage drum machine would be appropriate. But
oh my God! Wait, Elizabeth, I'm coming to you.
Machine?
Hold on, I'm having a coronary. You heard it. Hold on, Joe. I'm picking myself up off my seat. You can't see me. I've fallen and I can barely get up. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Mansfield, hip-hop OG, Boston legend, is donating potentially an old drum machine and diskette beats from Life of a Kid in the Ghetto, the incredible debut album from Ed O.G. Joe, let me tell you, man, not only are we flattered and are we thankful, but you have our word that, you know, when you come and visit the museum, they will be on framed and displayed beautifully and nicely. And later in the show, after we get off the phone with you, we're actually unboxing lyrics from either that album or the second album. We're not sure. I think we're going to open and surprise the people, but they will go hand in hand. And wouldn't that be beautiful?
Yeah, definitely cool.
You guys have changed the music industry. You've changed my DJ's life and my life.
Definitely have.
And so we want to thank you, Joe. We want to thank you for your time and being with us today.
No problem.
As we end with Joe, we are going to throw to his video running through, banging out PSK and a whole little demo video about his box set collection. Joe, I'm hoping maybe even if you don't mind, I don't want to get greedy here, but I would love to be able to get maybe a signed box set from you so we could display it for all the...
yeah, definitely.
Because it's just such a beautiful thing, and we have all of your other products here.
Sure, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Joe. We bid you adieu. Have a beautiful weekend. Everybody, round of applause. Joe Mansfield, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, Joe. We'll talk soon.
All right, take care.
Okay, get with you later. Take care.
This is the Roland TR-909. This drum machine was used by many producers and artists. One of my favorites was Schoolie D, using it on PSK and Gucci Time. I actually bought this machine back in 1986, and the first thing I ever programmed into it was PSK, and it's still in the machine.
TR-909.
No, to me. Oh my God, it's happening. It's really happening. The Hip Hop Unboxing with my DJ, the one, the only.
B-Dub the Boy Wonder.
Hey, what's up, B-Dub?
How you doing?
How was that interview, bro? Was that cool?
It was a great interview. Very knowledgeable.
That guy's like the backbone of hip hop. Did you get a scissor, bro?
I got a scissor.
You got scissors? Okay, we're doing it. It's the Hip Hop Unboxing. We got lots of crazy stuff.
I got a scissor.
Here's the first piece.
I got a scissor.
You got a scissor?
And
I got a scissor. We got scissors. Oh yeah, scissors.
Unbox the package.
Unbox the package.
Unbox the package.
Unbox the package.
Coming in from a New York, a Valley Stream, New York. It is a package within a package, but as we get this one open real quick. Let's see what we got here.
Valley Stream.
Is this?
Oh, you got more. I'm gonna get to this first. Coming in from the Boston let me not give away his address. Coming in from the Boston legend himself, Ed O.G. We just got off the phone with Joe Mansfield, the producer of Ed O.G. Oh my God, peace and love. Look at this. Love comes and goes. All of the lyrics to Love Comes and Goes, autographed by Ed O.G., which will be framed and put into the Hip Hop Museum right next to Joe's. Diskettes, an antique drum machine or vintage drum machine. And not only that, oh my God, look at this. Look at this divider. Look at this Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs, Life of a Kid in the Ghetto. He was just talking about it.
And it's signed.
Signed by the man. I got to have it. I got to have it. I got to have it.
Be a father to your child.
Oh
I
man.
got to have it.
I got hip hop chill bumps.
Since we like cards. We like cards, right? Speaking of Boston, we like cards in the studio.
Cads. I think it's pronounced cads.
Cats. So we have some playing cards. We will actually open these.
Right. We have some from
Sean Price.
Sean Price playing cards. Nice.
There we go. Sean Price. These I have not opened just yet, but DJ Revolution. Big shout out to DJ Revolution. So I'm pretty sure these will actually have some trivia on them, like all of our cards, 9 times out of 10. But
that's cool. That's cool. Whoops. All right. DJ Revolution and Sean Price. Okay.
All of a sudden, I want to get in Freestyle Fridays today for some reason. All right, you got something next, bro?
Yeah, so stay tuned, you guys. In literally 5 minutes, we are going to debut
Oh, yeah, let's hurry up.
Know Your Hip Hop with Crank Lucas, the game show. And this one's really important. I got to unbox this one because I promised everyone I would.
It is almost 6
The group
o'clock.
Brand Nubian. I know. The group Brand Nubian, one of the most iconic hip hop groups in the history of hip hop. 1/3 of that group is Sadat X, who has donated to the Hip Hop Museum his own, oh my God, his own leather jacket from the group.
That look like your size, Charlie.
Can we see his own patch right there? This is absolutely incredible. Salute you, Sadat X.
Thank you.
An icon in the hip-hop industry, but not only an icon, also an inductee in the Hip-Hop Museum here in Washington, D.C. What do you got there, B-Dub?
All right, let's see, coming in. I didn't even get to see where it's coming from.
Right, it's okay. We got limited time. 4 minutes.
Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince Summertime.
Woo!
45's right there.
Here you
There we go, the easel. And we also have Dougie Fresh, the show. The Get Fresh crew, Lottie Dottie. You know we like to party.
Cool. Coming in from Seattle, Washington. Shout out to Seattle. man. Oh, this is big, you guys. Hold on. Major history. R.I.P. 22 years ago today, we lost one of the greatest hip-hop legends of all time. Here is the original, unread New York Post from the day that he passed away. Tupac saw his death on video. We are all familiar with this iconic image. Tupac, you were joined by another angel the other day, Mac Miller. May you rest in peace. And I hope to commemorate, we hope to commemorate his life and his legacy here at the Hip Hop Museum.
Yes, sir.
What you got?
That is dope over there.
Dope, right?
All the way from San Jose, California. I'm going to start you off with the simplest stuff that was in that package. We have actually cards right here from Third Base. We have LL Cool J and MC Hammer. So you got your MC Hammer there.
Don't worry about that. Worry about this. Oh my God. No, you have to. Whoa, B, hoo, ha, hoo, ha. Oh my goodness.
Hot potato, hot potato.
2 minutes.
Hot potato.
2 minutes. Woo, Jersey. Woo, Jersey. We are a minute and a half from Know Your Hip Hop, episode number 2. Get that ready, DZ. Episode number 2 coming at you straight from Crank Lucas, the hip hop comedian extraordinaire, and coming into our unboxing today are 2 more hat pins. Got the Red Man, and nice, that's perfect. Don't move. And the ODB. Put your hands where my eyes can see. ODB. R.I.P. Okay. Oh my God. 50 seconds. Know Your Hip Hop episode part 2 coming. What you got? Quick. Oh, Diamond D. You guys, Diamond D. Not next Friday, but the Friday afterwards. Diamond D will be our guest. Okay, in studio. Okay? So the 27th, 8th. The 28th. Friday. The 28th. Okay, 30 seconds. Here we go. Know Your Hip Hop, episode 2. We're going to run it twice in a row, everyone. Stay tuned. This is an incredibly funny episode. We have a giant audience that has come out to see this episode here today. Everybody is just on pins and needles. Okay, so 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.